In this video, 6 game developers make a Scratch game together, but there is a special twist. We are not allowed to communicate with each other. Every person only gets 1 hour to add onto what the previous developer made, and then pass it on to the next developer. So this challenge starts off with Viper, so I'm gonna pass it over to him.
I'm Viper, and because I am the first dev, that means that I'm also responsible for creating the actual basis for the game. So there's a lot of power on my hands, and I could do some really cool things with this. I could make a skibbity toilet game, and literally everyone would have to abide with the rules, but no, I'm not gonna do that. So the game is called Rubble. So in Rubble, you are a mole. I don't know how to draw a mole, so we are just drawing a smiley face. There's gonna be this soil, right? This dirt, this rubble, if you will. See what I did there? Rubble, 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 rubble. So the mole is gonna go down into this soil or rubble, and there are gonna be some bugs. A bug here, I don't know what bug that is, just use your imagination. Oh shoot. Anyways, back on topic. So there's gonna be bugs, it's gonna be worms. Again, bro. I swear, if this thing falls one more time, I'm actually quitting. Anyways, so you have to get these things, and you have to get them inside the rubble. Now, this wouldn't be fun if all you're doing is literally just grabbing the stuff. So obviously, we're gonna have some obstacles. So maybe we could have spikes. But yeah, that's the general idea of the game. We've already wasted 5 minutes just for me explaining this. So we need to start working right now, like this clock right now. We gotta start working right now. I started off by finding some mole pixel art online. Although I typically make my own art, just use something random from Google for the time being. Pixel art can take an hour in itself, and we do not have that kind of time to waste. The next thing that I did was create some dirt that would act as the ground for the game. I just drew a rectangle in the Scratch editor for the same reasoning as the mole. Now it was time to start coding. I decided to just steal a platforming engine from my game Railroad Runner, and I was able to adjust it to Rubble. Although Rubble wouldn't be a platformer, I used the platforming engine to create this effect that made you sorta jump into the ground. I think it looks really good, and although I probably should have prioritized creating the actual game instead of polish, it's a nice touch. Alright, I'm gonna be honest with all of y'all right now. We have 39 minutes and 37 seconds left. It's a lot of pressure, because there's some things that I need to complete, because we're not gonna be communicating, or else the other developers won't know that they need to add them in. I'm feeling a bunch of pressure right now. This 1 hour is going by way too quick. Yeah. Let's do this. However, this took super long, and by the time I was done, I had only around 20 minutes left, so I knew that I had to hurry up. I continued coding by creating a wall that the player cannot pass through. This was a core feature of the game and would help give it more flavor and challenge. But something I noticed was that the collisions were flawed and didn't actually work very well. Sometimes you would clip into it. I was thinking about fixing it, but then decided that I would just let the other 7 devs deal with it, because I still needed to add in a lot of other features. The next thing that I did was create some bugs for the game. Since I'm pretty sure that moles eat bugs, I thought adding them would help add a sense of meaning and purpose to the game. Once again, I didn't care about art, so it looks quite bad. Now, with only around 12 minutes left, I created spikes that the player would have to avoid. They kill you and force you to restart. I spent my remaining minutes adding some finishing touches, and now it was time to pass it on to the next developer, McTonk. I wish that I had used my time more wisely, but it's not like I could go back in time, so I decided to stop dwelling on it.
Alright, so Viper has finished his part, and now it's been passed on to me, so I'm gonna go ahead and download this. Okay, so it looks like this game is called Rubble. I already have amazingly high hopes. Okay, press space to start. Collect as many bugs as you go down. Try not to die. Collect as many. There's one! And now I'm moving up. Bro, what is this? That's not even a bug. Wait, is it supposed to be a snake or a worm? It's just like Viper's logo. So he didn't make this art. Replace later. After I'd finished checking out the project, it was time for me to start adding to the game. The first thing I tried to add was a path that looked like it was being dug by the mole, but because I have a major skull issue, I decided not to, as I would probably be wasting my entire hour on failing to implement a feature. After I realized that it would probably be stupid to make that unnecessary polish, I went into GIMP to design some title art which could be used in the main menu as opposed to whatever this is. Unfortunately, I couldn't make a thumbnail because all of the sprites basically just had placeholder art, but I just messed around for a bit until I got this is the title. And honestly, despite the fact that it probably only took me 5 minutes to make, I think it looks pretty good. I really hope that it doesn't immediately get replaced. I began to program in the menu, but because that's probably not the most interesting thing to watch, I'm just gonna skip past most of that. And then I started to make more bugs, because just this isn't really sufficient. Okay, so we have this so far, but it still feels horribly dead in here. It still feels horribly dead in here because there's no music. So let's get some music. Let's see what sounds good.
2,000 years later.
For both the bugs and the spikes, I made them both randomly spawn around the map, and they each have random properties like their size. Well, when we start the game, we're gonna have 25. Let's go ahead and get some bugs. Okay, that's good. This is fun, just drawing the little bugs. After drawing the bugs, I made WASD support, polished some of the game, and added this little area at the end. I don't really know what I was thinking when I was adding this though. Anyways, that's my part, and I'm passing it on to no idea who, so I'm gonna put in editing.
Jackson Academy.
Oh yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Alright, see ya.
Now it's my turn. I downloaded the project from McTonk, the previous developer, and it was now time to open up this game. So when I first opened the project, I was greeted by this incredibly satisfying, and if I'm not gonna lie, over the top main menu. The fact that you had the time to make this, you had nothing else better to do. So hopefully the rest of the game would be as polished as this, right? No, I thought maybe Viper would create another platformer or Flappy Bird ripoff, but this was actually a great idea. It's basically like Only Up, but only down. And instead of taking the place of a human, you're playing as a mole that has to mine underground and search for food. At least that's what I thought. The developers before me could have been going for something else. So after fully checking out the project, I set my timer for 1 hour and I got to work. So the first thing I wanted to do was add an infinite scrolling background because I just don't want to make levels. So I went into the player sprite and tried to find the code that was stopping the player at the bottom of the level. Now I'm gonna be completely honest, the code in the player sprite was an absolute mess. There were just so many variables and there's just stuff all over the place. Whoever had the project before me, these guys were literal code goblins and I had to clean up this whole mess of code and neaten it up and everything. 10 minutes later. I don't know if McTonk didn't have enough time or if the level was supposed to be like this, but there were only 10 enemies in the level, so I made a variable to start spawning them infinitely. Because I was recording this video at like 5 in the morning, it was pretty chilly inside, but luckily I was wearing my limited edition Jackson Academy X Osaka hoodie, made with 100% cotton. It kept me warm for the whole hour without fail and without any heat. Combine that with my limited edition Jackson Academy mousepad made with 100% cotton. Now back to the game, I was struggling with this one piece of code. Basically, what I needed to do is detect if the scroll Y was more than the last spawned enemy, then I needed to spawn an enemy. But for some reason, it wasn't working. It just doesn't spawn at all. Nothing spawns. A couple minutes later, does it work? No. Yes, okay, it kind of works. I don't know why I spent so long trying to mess with this enemy code and get it to work. Alright, now we're finally getting somewhere. Now I just need to tackle this. The background does not scroll. Let me tell you, I did not expect that this would take me almost 20 minutes to figure out. It just, the problems kept on piling on, and it wasn't even different problems. It was the same problem where the background would scroll, but the grass would also scroll. So after moving around my code, I figured out that it wasn't something wrong with my code, but the code that had already been created by McTonk. The variables weren't resetting properly, so I had to go in. I had to use when green flag clicked. Then, with only about 20 minutes left, I started adding some of my ideas to the game. I had this idea of adding jewels to the items that you pick up, so I started drawing some gems like an opal and also a ruby. And since I didn't really have that much time left, I really hoped that someone could expand on the idea that you go mining as well as eating bugs. And also, for some odd reason, the scrolling background suddenly decided to break halfway through drawing the gems, so now I have to waste my time again fixing this annoying bug. With 7 minutes left, I could finally add another essential feature. The developer before me didn't have enough time to create it, or they spent all of it creating an unnecessarily fancy menu screen. So that's basically all the time that I have. It's time to pass it on to the next developer, Challenger 10K.
So after playing the project, I found some things that would be easy to improve to make the game better. The first thing is to change this ugly variable score and implement a nice number sprite score. To do that, I watched the Griffpack tutorial because I don't know how to do it myself. After a while of mucking around, I made my own version of the system. Now that the score is looking clean, I added in a sound for when you collect a bug, and now it was time to fix too. When you started the game, everything would look fine, but when you got a little bit in, all the bugs would stop spawning, so I located the issue and fixed that. Another issue was the wall. Due to Scratch not letting you scroll things off stage, this was stuck at the top and was really annoying me. To fix this, I added another wall off screen so it could scroll properly. The next thing I wanted to add was a difficulty option. The harder you made the game, the closer together spikes would spawn, making it harder to get past. I got to work on this and added the same sine waves the title had to it. By the time I finished, my time was almost up. There was just one more thing I wanted to add. Sometimes when you started, a spike would spawn right under you, and due to the mole jumping down, it would die in the first second. Quite unfair, so I added a weight block into the spike so this wouldn't happen. Now that was done, my part was finished, and it was time to move it on.
Right, it's my turn. Man o' Valor, but you can call me Mog. Okay, so the sprite work here is very vector. I hate these. They do nothing. So first I'm going to improve this player sprite because it sucks. I'm basically not going to change a lot about the game part of this game. I'm just going to change the sprites because I am the art guy. This isn't even centered. I'm going to have to resort to press green flag to retry. I'm so sorry, guys. I'll see if I can improve that later. Do I have any good fonts on my computer, or do I need to go grab one? Screwing around with vector paths. Why? I should be spriting the rest of the game. I have to re-sprite a whole bunch of stuff. I'm gonna run out of time. I need to replace these sprites. This is bringing me pain. I'm destroying these beautiful SVGs. Oh, that color's horrendous. Oh my gosh, it's worse than I thought. I'm in immense pain. It was what? Why is this like way far away from where it's supposed to be? Seriously? To resprite this, so many beautiful palettes. I don't know which one to use. I'll try this one called Lost Century because it has some nice earth colored things, and this is very earth colored because you're on the ground. So now we have a beautiful palette, sort of like a sunset. I think I'll keep that. I do need to grab that white color. I don't dislike how that looks right now. First, I'm going to change how this dirt looks. So we have a better dirt color now. I can just slap that on. Okay, I see how it is. Big bounding box guy. You can leave right now. This game looks so much more sad now. Whatever. So I'm going to use coolers to find some colors that go goodly together. Like this brown, that purple, and this random. I cannot stand this noise. Why are you so loud? This is coming down to the wire. I haven't been able to add basically anything to the game. Get out of here. This is gonna be great, I think. Does it look horrendously ugly? If the answer is no, then I need you to get your eyes checked. That looks way better. I have been procrastinating making that main character. If it was not obvious, that's like one of the last things I need to do. Probably gonna run out of time. I'm giving up on doing pixel art for this. Everything is already vector. Alright. My time is up.
Hello everyone, I'm Spurt and I'm the 6th developer, so without further ado, let's get started. Right, the first thing I did was I opened up the project and I was just looking around to see what it was like. And first impressions are very, very positive. I really like the music in the background and also the sound effects. I think this looks really cool and I'm super excited to see what I can do. The first improvement I made was adding some nice little clouds in the background. I think that this adds some personality to the game and makes the main menu screen more entertaining. I also added a little bit of parallax to make the clouds look better. The next change I made was to these little spike guys. Right now they don't seem to have much personality, they just look like a piece of wood with some spikes sticking out of them. So I gave them some little eyes and I think they look much better now. I also decided to add more variety to the little gemstones you collect. Since we're not allowed communication on this project, I have no idea what the gems are supposed to be for, other than maybe for a score counter. Anyhow, I decided to just copy one of the existing gemstones and paste it in and make some little changes so there's a bit more variety to the types you can find. But as I was playtesting, I realized one major thing that was missing, which were enemies. Sure, there are some little spikes here and there, but they're static. So my big idea here was to add a snake that can move around through the underground and try to hunt you down. So I got to work. Alright, this is not my proudest creation of art, but I think it'll look good enough for a test. And nope, there's definitely a few bugs here. Let me fix that real quick. Alright, this looks much better. Now as you can see, the snake actually moves underground pretty well, and it can make for a more challenging obstacle than just some basic spikes. But unfortunately, my time is almost up. Since we only get 1 hour to work on this, I only have a few minutes left. So I decided to make some final changes. First, I made the snakes spawn differently depending on the difficulty level. So if it was easier difficulty, they'd spawn less often, and if it was a harder difficulty, they'd spawn more. And next, I also made it so that the player's skin would look different depending on what difficulty was selected. This way, it's actually easier for players to see what difficulty they're playing on, and also, it makes it feel a lot more polished and personalized. So that was all my time used up. Here's what I came up with. I personally think it looks very awesome, and I can't wait to see what the next developer can come up with.
I started by opening the game and playing it to see what I was working with. Normal mode. There's snakes and you have to collect things. The music's like really loud. I had an idea to add skins to the game, so I started out by creating these arrows that you can use to choose your skin. Next, I started to design one. I edited the player costume to be the square guy, and also made costumes for each of the difficulty levels like the circle has. Then I made this yellow trapezoid thing. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but I like it. Once the skins were all finished and working, I started brainstorming some ideas of more things to add. The game was practically finished when I got it, so it was a bit challenging to think of something. I decided to make a potion that spawns less frequently than the bugs and gives you 3 points when you collect it. And I'm also going to make it bigger. Then, since the game is underground, I made a pickaxe that works the same way. That's a pickaxe. Finally, I added unique sound effects to each of them. There were just a few minutes left, so I decided to add the usernames of everyone who worked on the game to the main menu. So that's all the names. 1 minute left in the timer. Is there anything else we can really do here? And with that, the game was finished.
Yay!
Still got that
So
same-
beautiful.
We got
No.
You just right click on the tab.
I'm
What
not
do you
using
do?
a... There's
Wait,
like...
it's error. Oh my
This
god.
is what I did. I made skins.
Oh, yo, that's actually kind of cool. That's actually
I
kind
made
of
a
cool.
square dude, and I made like whatever this guy is.
Oh,
They
that's
have all the
nice.
difficulties.
Oh, you can change what they
There's easy, normal, and hard.
Yeah, I made
didn't-
the hats change and the facial expressions change.
Yeah.
Oh, that is pretty
It was really like because I had to do the hats for all 3 of these
Yeah.
things, which is why there's only 2.
Dude, I was so mad that the character isn't a mole anymore.
I was the one that made the decision to destroy the mole and make it a random circle guy because I am not. I was supposed to be the artist, the main artist, and
Okay, so
yeah, I mean, ball kicking some. Oh my
Whoa.
gosh,
What is that?
this is the game.
it's a,
Or a
it's a viper.
snake.
It was a huge viper.
It's Viper's
When I got
dad.
It's not a Viper reference.
When I got this
There's
game
also these
originally,
pickaxes and potions, which I have.
there was like one bug,
that don't do
and it was
anything. to
it was the
weapons.
stupidest thing I had ever seen. I really like
Nothing.
how much the art has changed though.
Yeah,
I like that
Especially the
Yeah.
spikes. Before I got it, the spikes were like they weren't even like centered. It was just like a
Oh, no.
giant black line. It was horrible.
Oh, no.
But it's
Oh,
that
that's
chemical flask thing, a bow reference.
Also, I made it so that if you go all the way up to the top, you die that
Oh,
way because I
oh,
thought it was
okay.
weird. I thought it was weird that
Can
you
you still walk?
all the way at the top.
Can you still walk past the end and then you'll get stuck on the wall? Like
Yeah, did you
but
fix
still
that?
not remember.
What?
But still-
Like if,
Well,
Oh,
you
yeah, yeah,
walk
you, you still get stuck. Like I'm holding right.
Oh,
yeah,
Okay,
because
my
it's because he had
bad.
like
I did
a
not find
scroll
the bug.
X as well for some reason. Viper did, and I was not about to
People
mess with
just stole,
this.
just stole it like last time. He just stole it from like a random project.
I'm not gonna lie, I really like the look of the game now.
Yeah.
I think it looks
Yeah,
good.
at least it does look pretty good.
I'm pretty sure I also added like 1 more gemstone. There used to be like 4 or whatever. I added 1 more.
The really major change.
Why is there like a box around the player?
Huh?
It's to prevent clipping, like the invisible bar.
Oh yeah,
you
I
don't
see
need
that.
to like set the opacity.
The opacity is like
Uh,
so one.
just like make it
I can
square,
barely
make
see
it
it.
transparent, and just draw a box around it. It's simple.
Yeah. I think I already said
You
it
just make
transparent.
really,
Maybe.
really small paths on like
You
very
can
far away.
barely see it. It's like this transparency is set to like 5%.
Yeah, no, I can't even see it now. Actually.
That or it's just a weird bug with square.
No, I can see a bit. I can take a screenshot of it while it's visible.
Yeah,
and
I can see the square around it.
Oh, that would also make the hitbox bigger for this one. Like this solution makes the hitbox bigger. Like if you just like barely touch it with your hat, I think you also die, right?
No, it has a separate
No,
hitbox.
you do not. It has a separate hitbox.
Oh, okay, good, yeah.
Yes,
I-
I know. We're so smart. We thought about this ahead of time.
Also, the thing stopped spawning like 5 minutes ago.
Well, the hat's
I just
completely
realized
separate
that.
from the player, right?
Yeah, no,
Oh,
wait, we ran out of clones. I think we ran out of clones.
I just
They
realized.
delete.
No, the clones is at 187.
Oh, wait, what in the world? Yeah,
what
There's
is
still
that?
way too many clones.
Probably some stupid bug.
Hi guys, it is me, Jackson Academy, or Suli. We just reached 100,000 subscribers, and that is a pretty big milestone. So thank you to each and every single one of you who subscribed and helped me on this journey. That sounded so scripted, I swear that wasn't scripted. But yeah, this is me. I have more videos coming in the future, and also I know this is a shameless plug, but I just released a Scratch 3.0 Ultimate Bootcamp on my website. You can view it up there, or right here, wherever my editor decides to put it. I know this is a shameless plug, but you gotta pay the bill somehow.